Welcome to Bellman Woodworking and Designs with me, Brent Bellman. Today we're going to check out how to make one of these, a cajon, aka a box drum. So let's check it out and see how you can make one of these yourself. Alright, so I started out this project by marking up my dimensions on the plywood that I had. And it was some scrap plywood I had, so that was nice. So that made this project pretty much free for that. But I just took dimensions off the internet. I had it about 17 inches tall and then 12 by 12 for the base. So I would in the future probably make it a little bit bigger for me, but I think this will be great for the person it's going to be for. So once I had the plywood cut down to the size that I needed, I then went and cut the dados for it because I wanted to make sure that it had as few of the plywood edges visible. So that's what I'm doing here is cutting dados for that. I just wanted to make sure that it would look like as much as one piece of wood as possible. Now from there I used some double-sided tape to stick these pieces together because I did end up cutting in the front side at an angle. Now I froze the frame here just to make a mention before I used my tapering jig to cut that front angle. Don't do what I did, which is right here you can see my sides they're complete duplicates of each other. So I made each side the same. That's a mistake. You want your sides to be a mirror image of each other, not an exact copy. So just be cautious of that. If you see it set up like this, you're doing it wrong. You want your sides to be mirror images of each other, not duplicates. So at this point I went on to use that tapering jig, and this isn't the best style of tapering jig. It's one I made a while back, and I would like to make something different, but it definitely did the job, and I was able to cut that front to be at an angle. So this is me cutting that last dado on the back side. So this is again a great way to cut dados without having to put a dado blade on, or if you don't have a dado blade, just make numerous passes till eventually you get enough where you can just kind of use the blade to carve it out there just by moving it back and forth. Alright, so this piece is cut at an angle, and I have these square pieces that are cut for the top to go here in the bottom. This will be the bottom, and here at the top. But I need to cut them to match these angles right here. So what I've done is I use this angle gauge, and I initially zeroed it out, but then I just placed it on here and matched up the angle, and then this tells me it's 83.3 is the actual angle measurement there. You can see that. There we go. That's upside down, of course, but there you go. So then on the table saw, I then brought that over here. We'll refocus this. What I've done is I brought that and I raised up the blade all the way, and I've taken that angle and then transferred that to the blade on the saw. Now, I actually had done earlier too, I used one of these, the Wixie Digital Angle Finder, still zeroed out there. I put on here, and it was reading a little bit different. It's going to be probably pretty close. Earlier was reading like 83.2. I adjusted it just slightly because I want to go ahead and match what I'd actually found right here. So we're going to test cut it, and if it fits, that's great. And if not, we'll adjust it, but I'm not going to shave off all that I need. I've got 12 inches, and I'm going to end up needing about 9 when it's done. So we have a little bit of room to work with. So we'll sneak up on it and see how it works. How that angle matches. And that looks pretty awesome to me. So I think we're gonna roll with that. We'll just cut we'll adjust the length here. So we're a little bit long, so we'll make sure we get it adjusted to the right length. So here at this point you can see both sides, dados are cut all the way around. And that means I'm ready to attach the tops and the bottom and the back. So now we'll get started on that next step. So for the sides, I was able to get for Christmas. Now these are pretty awesome. These are made by Rockler, and these are their corner clamps, and I highly recommend these. They're awesome. It is literally like having a third set of hands to be able to clamp those up. They are glued and brad nailed together. But man, again, can't recommend these enough. They're worth it. Now, I've got a set of 4 of these. You probably could get away with a set of 2 like I'm doing right here. But if you're ever doing some kind of large cabinets, then it'd be nice to have all 4, and that's why I wanted to have 4 of those. But again, great clamps, great for this 3/4 inch plywood. That's what it's meant for. So just stand it up in there, and it holds everything square. It has those black brackets. Those hold everything at 90 degrees, and that was awesome. So literally I was just able to set it up, glue it, and brad nail it all together. So definitely a great tool to have right there. Now last, I needed to cut out the wood for the back of this. So we needed to have that cut, and I want to make sure I could get that in there as tightly as possible. So I just kind of snuck up on it a little bit to make sure I had it cut to the right size. So at this point, I've got dados both at the top and the bottom that are going to fit this. So they and even there on the side. So it's just a matter of getting that piece of wood in there. It had a good friction fit with the glue, and it worked really well. So once I had it all clamped up, I got my 1/8 inch plywood. This is going to be the head of the cajon, so the very front side, just 1/8 inch plywood. Picked a sheet that I liked and got it all there. Now once I was cut to size for the head of the cajon, I knew I needed to get the port cut in the back. So this is a good trick. You may have seen this before with a router. So I just made sure I knew what the diameter of the port was going to be in the back, and then just got that set up, made the radius on there on the router, and then from there I just got to cutting. And so you just work a little bit at a time, making pass after pass after pass, until eventually you're able to have that sawed hole cut out. So just take your time, go with that, and eventually you'll have a really perfect circle that's cut there as the port in the back. Now from there I used a round over bit just to clean everything up on the inside and outside, and then just got everything all sanded down. And so this is really the build of the body of the cajon. So here I'm making what are going to be brackets for the inside to help hold the snare. So I just took some more of that plywood, nailed it up, and used a scrap piece to make sure I had the width right there, and just got those set up inside of there, and then cut those apart to make some little U-shaped brackets to go on the inside. So here I'm just using the angle gauge there on the ruler just to have that hold it in place. So I have my angle where I'm going to be holding the snares up against the inside, and did that. So I did countersink on the head of the cajon, all the screws, and just initially for this I put 4 screws in it, one at the top, one at the bottom, and on the sides, and then from there I was able to use my router to make sure I had, with a flush trim bit, to make sure that I had all the edges of the cajon cut to fit perfect. So once I had that, did some finish sanding up to 220 grit, and then that had it all ready for finish and stain, or stain and finish. So once I marked out, and I took the time to mark these out evenly, I wanted it to look good, all the spots for the screws, I got them all drilled, and I used some brass screws in the very end to do this, but I waited till the very end when it was finished. But got those holes measured out and countersunk all the holes there, and that ended up looking really nice in the end. So here, this is a snare off a snare drum that I had, and I cut it in half. I don't know if this is necessarily the best way to do it, but it's my first cajon to build, and this is how I've seen everyone else do it. So I'm going to try it, and I might try this different ways in the future, but that's what I did for now. Now also this, do take care, and I think I mentioned here at the end, but just take care of the angle of your snare. You don't want the snares bent back over themselves so they won't work right. So just be careful how they mount and what angle they're mounting up inside of there. So on this strip of plywood, I just did use some screws in there. See, that's how the cajon fits, or the snare fits in, and then the head goes on top and makes it ready to go. So I use shellac just on the 1/8 inch plywood by itself, and then I use the General Finishes Antique Walnut for the rest of the body of the cajon, and I think it looks really great. I really wanted that two-tone color, and as far as the look, it looks really good. But there's definitely some other issues as far as shellac goes, but I'll mention that later on at the end of the video as far as the overall finish. I think we have to use something else to end up sealing it all the way. This is that General Finishes Antique Walnut, so that was the final stain. So it's their gel stain, as you notice, and I just like the color of that. I think it gives a better color than the non-gel stain. So put it on, wipe it off, and it's really an instant stain. You just want to make sure to probably give it a day before you put any clear coat on it. So there's the final product, and at this point I've got it's all clear coated with the shellac, and putting the feet on. Those are just some of those clear rubber feet. Putting those in with the screws, and those do a really good job. I wanted to make sure it wasn't sitting on the floor and get tore up. So just got those marked with a nail, and then to get the pilot hole going, and drill the pilot hole and screw those in. And those are going to be really great to help the cones sound good and keep the bottom safe. All right, so here we have it. This is our final product. Now, a couple things to mention for me on this. Right now, the whole thing is just covered in shellac. And shellac is new for me. I think there's 2 coats, maybe 3 coats all over the entire outside. Something I've noticed with the plate on it, and if you know something about woodworking, can cue in on this, I would totally appreciate it. But I have coated it. Actually, the top has gotten, I think it's 3 or 4 coats, because actually after I sat on it and played on it for a while, I noticed that there were the pattern from the print of my pants kind of got imprinted into the final coat on there. And the first time I saw that happen was, I think I'd coated it that morning and it was dry that night. I played on it because shellac supposedly dries really fast. So I sanded it down, recoated it again. It looked perfect. I let it sit for over 24 hours, sat on it to play it again and tried it out, and it's the same thing all over again. So what I'm going to try at this point is I'm going to sand it back down, probably all over it, and add a clear coat of polyurethane. Again, I've already got 2 coats of shellac, so I don't think I need any more. I'm going to try adding a coat of polyurethane for the finish. And so again, if you know something, if you know that might help, or if there's another tip you know, I would totally appreciate you leaving that in the comments below. If I learned something, I'll let y'all know that in the comments below as well. As far as some things to point out about the Cajon itself. So right now, I've only got screws here, and as far as the screws go, you saw it real quick in the video, it's these. These are brass screws from Home Depot. The brand is Everbuilt. They are number 8 1-inch screws. There's a 100 pack of screws. I think I paid $10 for it. But with Cajon, something I've learned about them as I've played them a lot in music stores and stuff like that, but I never really paid attention to the screws. They're typically all screwed in. But as I've learned, people will, the point of those screws is not only to hold the head on, but some people will leave screws out. They will loosen them, tighten them to tune the head, and that's just something I've learned in the process. So up here on this side, at the top, you get kind of that sound where the wood has a little bit of room to move against the body of the Cajon versus this side. You get a different sound there. So just something to keep in mind. So I've only got screws all along the bottom, 1 screw up on the top here. I've got 2 screws, 1 on each side here in the middle, and then 1 at the top, and then 1 here, 1 here. But I've left the rest unscrewed. I really like the sound of it like that right now. So I'm not going to put any more. I think it sounds great just the way it is. Here on the outside, the stain I used, and I showed in the video, but it was this. It's the General Finish. It's the Antique Walnut Gel Stain. So that's what is coated on this color if you're curious about that. Again, I always recommend their finishes. They're really great. I have used their clear coats before. I tried shellac on this one, so I might put their clear coat on here after. I just haven't decided. I have some regular poly, man wax poly that I might put on there and use that. But you've got the hole here in the back that lets the air come out of here. And also for mine, I've made the Snare removable. So instead of having, a lot of people do little knobs that can turn in and out, on here, the Snare is actually removable, so that I mounted it in there where it is up against the inside of the head, but you can actually take it out if you want to play it without. So for me, that's my final product on here. I know if you're a percussionist, which I'm not an professional percussionist, but I consider myself a percussionist. A lot of people like these Cajons, they're great, but then again, as I was surfing and looking for the web for plans and best ways to build these, a lot of people who don't prefer them, they prefer either a small setup of some kind of drum set. But for me, it's awesome. It's something that you can pick up, set down wherever you go, and it's just a great fun tool, percussion tool, instrument to be able to use. So as far as the sound is concerned, again, you got these up here at the top. You get kind of your low sounds here. You can hear the snare, and up at the top, a little more snare up there. So something I might do different. I really like this one. It's great. If I were to build a second one in the future, this one is about 17.5 inches tall on the side. It's 12 inches here at the bottom. And originally, again, this was cut to be rectangular. It was 12 inches across here. But then I believe now that I've cut it down, it's about 9 to 10 inches across here. So overall for me, I weigh about 160 pounds. I'm 5'11". I might make it a little bit deeper, a little bit wider, just to have some more space to sit on it. That's about the only thing I would change about it. Everything else I love, the way I've mounted the snares inside of here. I like that. And that's one final comment I'll say. But just be careful the angle that you mount your snares. That was something I did some research on too. You don't want them, when they're mounted in, they should be up enough for the pressing against and are flat, but they should not be pushed back and over themselves. So just be careful how you mount your snares inside of your Cajon. But again, like I said, great project. It was really fun. I wanted to build one of these for a long time, being a percussionist. So I really enjoyed doing it. I'll definitely be building probably a couple in the future because this one is going to be a special gift to someone. I'm not going to say who in case somehow they see this video, but this one will not be staying with me. I'll have it for a while, but I'm going to be giving this one away as a gift. So anyhow, great build, fun project. I hope this inspires any of you percussionists out there that see that. There's a lot of Cajon videos out there, but hopefully this one's been a little bit different. It's showing you a little bit different process that you can go to build one. So again, I do help it and hope it's inspired you for your next project in your garage. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Also, you can hit that subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos that I'm doing. Be sure to check out my page. There's lots of stuff on here that I've done. If you also, if you like this video, if you like what I'm doing, definitely ask a favor to share this video out or find another video that you think somebody might like and share it to them. Share my channel, and I would just like to see as many people checking out stuff. I know there's lots of things, but I'm always about spreading knowledge and spreading just ideas and things we're doing. That's one of the things I love about YouTube, is just being able to spread the knowledge, a wealth of knowledge everybody has. So again, thanks for watching. If it's your first on my channel, well, welcome. Again, be sure to check out the other videos that we've got. But thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to check this out. So until next time, be safe, keep learning, keep building.